Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, wow, that was kind of really, didn't sound like you were sleepy or anything like that. So, who had fun yesterday? Who had trouble choosing between the tracks yesterday? I'm sorry about that. I was kind of playing Tetris with all the presentations, and it was mission impossible in a way that you couldn't kind of put the presentation in such order that there wouldn't be really interesting ones side by side. So, as an apology, there will be recordings of all the presentations later on, so you can see the presentations that you missed. Did you remember to vote for the presentations? Anyone? Some? Okay, good. Then we had 3 votes. As a reminder, we'll have a panel tonight over here, and I hope you come up with really tough questions for the GWT steering committee so that we can kind of put them in an uneasy position and have some really interesting discussions out of that. And please do tweet. But today is all about the ecosystem, and I guess this is pretty central for GWT. I mean, without ecosystem, it would be just like internal tool inside Google. And the ecosystem, I guess there are a lot of different kind of things around the ecosystem. I mean, you are clearly kind of core of the ecosystem. Things like this conference are happening around GWT, even though they kind of are not arranged or pushed by Google. And I would like to thank everybody who was helping arranging this conference. I mean, we have a lot of sponsors in the conference. Without the sponsor, we couldn't have arranged the conference. We have had a lot of help from the GWT team. Especially, I would like to thank Daniel Kurka because he was helping to kind of shape the agenda, and so we basically kind of had a horrible mission with Daniel, choosing between really good presentations and really, really good presentations, and I hope that you are happy with the end outcome. But mostly, ecosystem is all about you, and I would like to kind of remind you that because you are the ecosystem, because you own the ecosystem, there is nobody else who could actually do something for the ecosystem. So it's you whose task and mission is to actually bring GWT alive. I mean, there is a quite skewed perceptions about healthiness of GWT ecosystem right now around there, outside this room. So you should kind of go and tell the guys that GWT is actually growing and healthy and really nice thing that everybody should try out. And there is nobody else but you who could do that. So please give presentations, submit presentations to conferences, arrange meeting groups, and try to make GWT a much better place to be. Today we have 5 companies who will be telling what they have been doing around GWT ecosystem, what kind of tools and components they have been building for you. So we'll hear from these companies a bit later on. But first I wanted to kind of highlight a couple of statistics about GWT. So first of all, we still have more than 100,000 monthly users measured through compiler pings. The conference size is pretty tremendous, and we have more committers to the core. With these stats, it's kind of pretty obvious that the use of GWT is not decreasing, but at the same time, it's not increasing that much either. So it's a fine kind of balance, and I hope that we can break this balance with the new releases that are coming out this year, and it could be growing again really strongly. But I think we should kind of take a bit further look to different statistics. And we have collected a lot of data, and I have Fredrik Rönnlund from Vaadin team who could show you actually some real data and some new news about use of GWT. Welcome, Fredrik.
Thank you. Okay, so how many of you have heard about the Future of GWT study? How many how many actually answered the survey this year or last year? Cool. So the idea with the survey is to actually find out how GWT is doing. And what we're going to go through here are some answers, so you get some kind of idea of where GWT is today, what kind of people are using GWT and so forth. And I think we have quite a good idea thanks to this survey that we've been running now for 3 years already. We have a lot of data already from this year, but also from previous years to compare with. So far we've had over 4,000 people answering the survey, 4,000 respondents in the past 3 years. This year, or actually last year when we ran the survey in December, we had a bit over 1,100 people answering the survey. And the most important question that we posed earlier in the beginning was that how would you score GWT on a scale from 1 to 5? And this is quite awesome. The average score for GWT that you gave was 4.47 out of 5. That's quite huge. That's really, really good for any framework or any tool. So let's take a quick deep dive. I'll give you a link at the end for the PDF. We put a lot of work into analyzing the results, to first running the survey, to picking the questions, to cross-referencing between previous years, and we've tried to make the results as understandable as possible in a PDF form. It's a free download, just download the PDF. But I handpicked a couple of things here. The first category is about you. So who are these magical creatures called GWT developers? The second category is about your apps. So what kind of apps are you building? And obviously the third one is how do you do your GWT development? So how do you actually build your applications? Then for the past 3 years already, we've always had a section about the bright side of GWT and the dark side of GWT. So I'll include some fun facts or numbers from that as well. So let's dive into about you first. So who are you? Do you know? You'll find out after this. Most of you have already been using GWT for over 2 years. So as you know probably yourself as well, GWT is really, really mature. But something I'd like to point out is the less than a year group here. So almost 1 out of 10 of you here today have just started using GWT. And this was something I attended Ray's speech in room number 2 yesterday, and one of the guys in the audience pointed out that we should really put more effort into documentation and people getting started with GWT. And I think 10% is a really huge number. It shows us that GWT actually gets new users all the time. So let's make sure that those 10% actually move on to the second and the third group as well. Then we also wanted to know what flavor of GWT you're using. So obviously plain GWT is the largest category. As you can see, the percentages add up to more than 100%, which shows that people are using sort of several flavors. So you might be using GXT and plain GWT in the same project or something else. But plain GWT is by far the largest category. Then about the team size. On average, your team size is around 9 people. So 9 developers in the team, which is quite huge actually. So it goes to show that people are building large apps with GWT. The long tail is also quite long, so you can see that there are people with over 50 people in the team as well. Then we wanted to know about a bit of background of the people answering the survey. And you can see that developers are by far the biggest category who answered the survey, but you can also see that there's team leads and project managers that answered the survey, which goes to show that also these non-developers are interested in the results. Because obviously the guys who answered the survey are also interested in seeing what the results are. But where are these people who are developing GWT? By far the largest country. The US is the largest country by far who is using, where GWT developers are. But if we look at the larger picture worldwide, Europe is twice as large as North America. So Germany, France, Italy add up to a lot of people who are using GWT. So this goes to show that there's lots and lots of people actually using GWT all over the world. So let's move on from you to actually the apps that you're building with GWT. We've asked for the past, actually 3 years already, about what kind of browsers you need to support. Is it mobile, is it tablets, is it desktop, and so forth. This year, for the first time, we included questions about how you're actually going about building those. And about half, it's quite divided, so half of you create responsive apps, whereas half don't do responsive apps. And you can see some more correlation in the survey data itself. This is something that I've been following quite closely with interest, and that's browser support that you need to give. In the first survey in 2012, IE 6 and 7 were somewhere around 14%. Then last year it dropped to 9%, and today we're at 3%, which is quite nice. We can probably leave those guys alone in the future. The other browsers have pretty much stayed the same. IE 8 last year was 44%, now it dropped to 23%. But the rest of the browsers have pretty much stayed the same and are stable. Yeah. Then we asked about where you actually run your application. Is it in the cloud or your own hardware? And mostly people still run on their own hardware. Let's follow this trend along the years. This was the first time you asked this question. So my own gut feeling is more people are moving into the cloud or a hybrid cloud running on both your own hardware and in the cloud. So if that's about your apps, let's have a look at how you actually do the development. And I think the most important tool that you have when building apps is your IDE. How many of you are actually using Eclipse here in the audience? How about IntelliJ IDEA? Okay. How about NetBeans? There should be NetBeans guys here. Actually, if you're 200 people, there should be 8 of you who are using NetBeans. Eclipse has actually lost some users last year. NetBeans has stayed the same, and others, VI users, have also stayed the same, but IDEA has actually grown. So this is a trend that we're seeing in this survey as well. And how do you go about building your apps? This has actually stayed the same as well. So they're quite divided by doing Java by hand or using UI Binder. But there's still some guys using GWT Designer. And we asked more about the reasoning for using GWT Designer or not using GWT Designer, but we also asked about if you would be planning to use a designer if there was a better designer available. And 56% of all respondents said they would use some kind of designer if GWT Designer just was better. This was quite an interesting number. GWT 2.7 came out in November. This survey was running from the beginning of December to the end of December. And already 33% of you were using 2.7 at that time. So people are really early adapters when it comes to GWT. Only 2% of you are using tip of the trunk. So. 2 more categories left, the bright side of GWT and the dark side of GWT. So let's jump into the bright side of GWT. We made a small tag cloud to make it easier to see what are the good sides of GWT. It's quite easy to see that people value the development time, that they only have to write Java and not JavaScript, and stay with one language, which is type safe, and so forth. And that's sort of the real strength of GWT, as we all know. Then looking at the dark side of GWT, I guess the largest ones that come up here are compilation and debugging. So we really need to do something about compilation time and making better tools for debugging and integration with different things. That's really scratching the surface of the survey. I would suggest that if you want to have a closer look, I'll give you the URL now. There's an orange button you can click on and you can download the PDF by yourself. I'd also like to thank all our sponsors who actually made it possible to run the survey this year. And the final call to action button. Every presentation needs to have a call to action. bit.ly/GWT report in all caps. So you can download it there and have a look at the PDF by yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Fredu. So next up will be Kristen and Alexandra from Red Hat, who will be showing what they have been doing and what Red Hat is doing with the GUID right now.
Okay, my name is Alex Porcelli, and I work for Red Hat. I've been involved on Ubify development, and here's Christian.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Christian. I work for JBoss by Red Hat, where I'm responsible for developing the Ori framework. And that's what we'll start here quickly. We really appreciate the opportunity to show you what we've done with GWT at Red Hat. So Ori has actually been one of the older projects. It's been around for almost 5 years now. And it started really as a means to ease the integration with Java EE middleware. So it had a feature to propagate CDI events between the client and the server. And since then, we've added a lot of sort of declarative programming models to Ori. So you can now actually use much of the Java EE standard in the browser. So really what that means is, for instance, you can use a JPA entity and persist it into the browser's local storage, and automatically keep it in sync with the server. We have a full CDI container, a full CDI implementation that runs in the browser to do dependency injection, for instance. And we also have a type-safe JAX-RS caller mechanism, so it makes it really easy to integrate a REST endpoint. But we've also not just focused on Java EE, especially in the last 2 years. We've more and more focused on the sort of UI side of things, where we used our CDI programming model to build a UI framework, which is based on plain HTML5 templating. It has a page navigation module, which allows you to create bookmarkable URLs, and also bidirectional or two-way data binding module. And we also provide a way to run Ori apps on mobile. So coming to what we've done the last year, since the last time we've been up here, we've really focused this year on security, because there really was a gap in our framework. So we wanted to have the same declarative API programming model for security-related concerns. So you can now just use a couple of annotations and secure your pages, UI components, and REST endpoints or RPC endpoints. It has a fine-grained permission model, it has SSO integration, and it integrates with existing security solutions like PicketLink and Keycloak, some of which I'll show later today in my talk. We have extended our message bus to support JSR 356 WebSockets. We did lots of performance improvements, especially for dev mode and refresh, focusing on GWT 2.7, make sure everything is generated incrementally, which it wasn't before. We've push state support for Ori navigation, and we also made sure that we're compatible with CDI 1.2, and are also now implementation agnostic, which means you don't actually need to run any of the things we do on JBoss or Wildfly. You can really use basically any Java EE server out there. Okay, I'll hand over to Alex. They've built a really cool framework with Ori.
So in Red Hat, we had this awesome framework that's Ori, but what we did in our team is because Ori is most about how you develop it. And we built on top of Ori, Ubify. That's basically a rich client platform, much like Eclipse does for the platform. We go in the browser. So what we have is the workbench setup that you can use. And basically, we have also a virtual file system that defaults to Git in the backend. And all this structure, all this infrastructure is clustered aware, so you can plug a big cluster and you can sync all the configuration of your setup. One thing that we heavily invested is on the polyglot bindings, so you can integrate any Angular and JavaScript, any other CoffeeScript, TypeScript, whatever script you are using, you can integrate with Ubify and use Ubify stuff on that technology as well. And what we've been really working on is a strong ecosystem. So what happened in 2014 was we invested a lot in ecosystem. So what we end up with is some runtime extensions that you can do, build your plugins in runtime. You don't need to recompile anything. We have an app directory that's based on these runtime plugins. You can build your small applications inside the Ubify framework. We have a technical diagram project called Wires that is really cool, that you can build visual-like application designs. We have our social extensions that integrate social media, and we consume and they can export things, events of social media. We have a dash builder that's basically you can design your dashboard visually, drag and drop stuff and everything. It's back at about our virtual file streams that is across the cluster is really interesting. And finally, we build an infrastructure for cloud IDEs that you can build and directly from the cloud IDE do the provisioning stuff. So you start new servers, you can stop servers, you can manage servers from inside this cloud IDE. So it's basically what we built. And well.
Yeah, so if you're interested in learning more about Ubify, which is a fairly new project, Alex gives a talk at 2 p.m. in this room. And if you're interested in the Ori programming module, which is more like a general purpose web framework, my talk is, I think, at 3:30 in room 2. And I also wanted to mention we don't just focus on framework development. Red Hat is actually a really big GWT user. This is just of a few new projects at Red Hat that actually are very heavily invested in GWT. The Red Hat JBoss BPM suite, the API Man project, which is sort of a REST API management cluster. You can configure request throttling and security for all the REST endpoints in your cluster. The Artificer project, which is a SOA repository. Even the web console of JBoss Wildfly is a GWT app. So Red Hat is really quite a heavy GWT user. There are many more apps that I won't bother to list here. Okay, that's all we have. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks, Alex and Christian. So next up will be Leif from our team, from Vaadin, telling what we have been doing for GWT developers lately.
Now it's on, good. So, what we have been doing? We have been really busy working with our grid component, or widget actually. So here I have been doing some stuff with it. I have this history column that I want to slightly enhance. Now it's just showing like toString value of my double arrays containing historical data. So what I want to do is to add a renderer to this column. Renderer is basically the same as a cell in cell table. So what I want to do is I set a new Spark lines renderer like this. Let's create it. It will be a widget renderer. So I will actually like put GWT widgets in my cells. Let's remove this one because I didn't have generics right there. So it's typed to double and uses Spark lines widget that I happen to have in my project. So what will happen here is that Grid will ask this renderer to create one widget instance for each visible row. And then when we scroll in the data, it will reuse that widget instance, just like change the data in it. So here I will just return the widget, return new Spark lines. Let's make it 200 wide, 30 high, data going from 0 to 100. And this is then the callback when scrolling. So here we just take the widget and set the data to it. And let's also save this file, and hopefully everything works all right here. Yes, it does. So here we now have like widgets inside the cells in this grid, and everything just works. I can scroll through all this data, and it's really like smooth even on mobile devices, even though we are using grids here, widgets inside the cells. So this is Grid. We are releasing it as part of Vaadin 7.4, which is in beta right now and stable in just a couple of weeks. And this then contains Vaadin widgets.jar, which is really made to just pop into your existing GWT project and just start using the grid component. Next thing I want to show you, we have been doing a visual designer, basically kind of the thing that Fred was talking about, that, okay, also GWT people would like one. Right now it only supports Vaadin server-side stuff, but we are about to also extend it to other technologies. So I will create a new design here in my Vaadin project. My design could be the name of it. Actually, let's take it here. So yeah, I will add a vertical layout, just like putting components on top of each other. Let's start with a text field somewhere there. Let's set the property for it, so the caption should be enter name. And then let's add a button. Let's add a button, I said. Thank you. And this one would then be say hello. Good. Let's make this layout not expand to cover the entire screen like this. This uses an HTML format or HTML-like format. You could actually almost pretend that these are web components, although they are not. I can also edit this right away, so let's add spacing and thank you. Thank you. Margin is what I wanted to add. So now we see that we also have some spacing and margin around these components. And let's also now get this used in my application. Let's make this bigger again. So here in the init method of my UI, I create a new my design, set it as the content of the UI, get the button that I got put there, add a click listener to it. Here we are running on the server, so I can use lambdas without waiting for GWT.create. What I will do is just show a notification saying hello plus the text field's value. So something like this, except I have a compilation error. There we go. So this designer will have a session about that at 2 p.m. today, and it's right now available as a preview in Vaadin Labs. So now let's hope that this page actually works. Yes. So here I enter my name and say hello, and there we have a hello notification. Excellent. Let's have a look at the last thing. So now we have covered GWT, like conventional GWT client side, Vaadin on the server, and then the last thing we have upcoming here is some web component awesomeness, because that's really hot nowadays. So here I have been building my own website about what I like about GWT. It's really cool things here, like super dev mode, compile speed, and such things. But I don't really like the layout of this table. I would really want to use a Vaadin grid here instead. So what I do is I copy-paste some stuff, open this file. So I'll add script tag, just getting Vaadin components from cdn.vaadin.com. And then I will wrap this table with a vgrid web component. I will set that the theme of this is Valo, which is like the built-in Vaadin theme. And I don't even need to close this tag because Chrome happens to get it all right. So now here we instead have the same data, same columns and everything, but instead it's like a smooth scrolling grid instead of being like just an old conventional HTML table. So that's one small part, or actually big part, of Vaadin components which we are releasing today as part of Vaadin Labs, which is the place where we have lots of crazy experiments that we don't know what to do with yet. So here you can actually go and see more details. We, for instance, have a really cool demo here with Jonas Lehtinen being the nuclear veteran superhero. And we have a session about this tonight or this afternoon at 3:30. So thank you.
Thanks, Leif. So next up will be JetBrains, Brandon from JetBrains.
Bonjour, buenos dias. Hyvää huomenta.
Wow.
Доброе утро. Ohayou gozaimasu. 早上好. Good morning. At JetBrains, we speak your language. Whether that's Java, JavaScript, CoffeeScript, TypeScript, ActionScript, Dart, CSS, Less, Sass, SCSS, XML, XHTML, HTML, XSD, Ruby, Python, Scala, Groovy Closure, and many more, including Kotlin. But it's not just how many languages you know or how many frameworks you support. And at JetBrains, we support dozens of frameworks and plugins, and hundreds more through our plugin APIs. But how well you understand the ones that you do support. And so I'd like to show you an example of what I mean. I have 3 examples for you. The first is symbolic references. So in Java, you can quickly navigate to a UI handler by using your cursor and pressing F4. And you can do this through all different types of languages, embedded languages, and so forth. And once you're inside XML, say UI component here, you can select a UI component like a list box and press Control-Alt-F7 to find all references of that symbol inside your entire project. The second is debugging. I'll start a new debugging instance, and it will kick off the application server and deploy my artifact to that server. And then it'll open up my browser for me, compile the application, and I've set a few breakpoints inside my client-side code. So when I trigger an exception here in this sample project, then it will take me to the Java code for that particular, at the debugging breakpoint that I've set. When I step out of this frame in my stack, it will take me to the JavaScript that's running on the browser. I can step back in, and it will take me back into Java. So the debugger is very well integrated with the browser. There's a plugin for Chrome that you can use, the JetBrains plugin that talks to your IDE. Lastly, our inspections. So for all of the frameworks that we support, we offer a number of inspections that will help detect anomalous code. So if I delete this asynchronous service inside the shared directory here, or if I never created it, then it will warn me immediately that my service doesn't have a corresponding asynchronous variant. I can create that, and it will recreate the asynchronous service for that service. So it's with the same care and consideration for all the frameworks that we support same efficiency of movement of the keystrokes that you can use, and the depth of functionality that we offer for all of our plugins. If you're interested in learning more about JetBrains tools, you can visit our booth to the right as you exit the conference room. There, my colleagues, Nikolay Sandalov, Nikolay, Chris, and myself would be glad to have the opportunity to tell you more. We'd also like to hear from you. So if you tell us about your development practices, then we'd like to enter you into a raffle to win one license, one personal license for a year for IntelliJ IDEA. Thank you for your time, and develop with pleasure.
Thank you, Brandon. It looks awesome. So next up will be David from Sencha. You might have seen this guy speaking for a GWT previously, but now he joined Sencha.
Thank you. I'm back. Okay, thanks. Yeah, good morning. Some of you may recognize me. I used to do developer relations for Google. Worked with the GWT team in Atlanta, and it's a pleasure to be back with the GWT community. I will tell you why. You know, I worked in the Android developer relations for a while as well, and I like Android. It's been a very popular operating system, and it's fun to program. However, I really must say that the GWT developer audience are some of the finest developers that I've met in the world. And I think we have an appreciation for abstraction and for tooling that a lot of other developers don't have. In the Android community, for example, most of the engineers come from, at least the system engineers, come from a hardware background. And so there's an extreme focus on smallness. Right? Minimal memory usage, size of code, etc., which is well when you're writing code for an operating system that runs on tiny devices. However, that also reflects in the APIs, and it's quite difficult to write a well-architected MVP application, for example, on Android because the APIs are lower level. So I enjoy writing code in GWT and being part of the GWT community again. You guys have always been fun to work with. So I'm currently working with Sencha, and this morning I want to tell you a few things that we've been up to, and some more things that are coming, and also introduce a few team members. So Sencha, I've always felt, has had a good-looking library of charts and widgets, which are on display here, and you can go check those out. We've recently created a new sample called the Executive Dashboard using GXT and some custom styling. I'll be showing that later in a presentation called Introduction to GXT. That was developed by Justin Hickman, who is also our representative on the GWT steering committee. And Justin, would you just wave at us back there so you can see who Justin is? All right, he's in the very back. He'll be at the booth later today. If you have questions about GXT and styling and stuff like that, Justin is your man. He is the designer who created this, and it's very, very nice looking stuff. Also, one of the major contributions that Sencha has made to the GWT community in the last year has been around the tooling. One of the reasons that Super Dev Mode works as well it does in both IntelliJ and Eclipse is because Brandon Donaldson, who works for Sencha now, has been making a great contribution there. Brandon showed yesterday at the demo hour a demo of launching Super Dev Mode. Well, first of all, importing a Maven project in Eclipse containing both App Engine and GWT facets, integration with the Eclipse WTP, the Web Tools platform, which is a better way going forward than what the Google plugin for Eclipse has been doing. So it will soon be possible again, with any luck, to import a Maven project containing App Engine, GWT, and have everything just work in Eclipse. This is a capability which I pushed for very hard when I joined the GWT team in 2010, and we had it working for about a year. And then Google plugin for Eclipse sadly fell into disrepair at Google, evidently, and is not receiving the love that it used to. But the community is stepping up, and we're really happy about that. So Brandon, would you just stick up your hand as well? He's in the back there. So Brandon is your guy if you have questions or complaints about the Eclipse tooling or suggestions about how to improve that, etc. Brandon's also created some Maven archetypes, which we now have available, and he's done a tremendous amount of work on the Sencha documentation. So we have this site. It's a little bit easier now to get started with Sencha thanks to these docs, and the Maven archetypes make it very easy to start a Sencha project. If you're interested in just kicking the tires on our widgets, fire up the archetype here, paste it to the command line, and import it into your IDE, and away you go. So this afternoon, we're going to be talking, I'm going to be doing a presentation on Introduction to GXT. If you've never seen it before, want to learn how to use the widgets, what it is, please stop by. And this morning I have another presentation which was scheduled here even before I started with Sencha. And it's just a project based on a personal project I was doing that shows you how you can easily create a REST API using App Engine, Jersey, and REST GWT. And I hope it'll be interesting to you. I like the REST API because it's cross-platform, so you can publish on the server but consume those services from either a native mobile application or a GWT application. And REST GWT is almost as easy to use as GWT RPC. So there's a lot of benefits there. So you can come check that out as well. I will lastly mention that Sencha is hiring. The company is making a bigger investment in GXT in the coming year. And so if you're interested in working on the core set of widgets and helping us build out new sample applications and things like that, definitely stop by and talk to us. Thanks very much.
Thank you, David. So next up will be Kristen from Archbeast showing what's new with the GWT platform.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Christian Goudreau. I'm the co-founder of Archbeast, and I'll be showing you what we've been doing for the past year. Now, let me connect this for a second. Doing a presentation after David Chandler is always a challenge. Yeah, well, first thing to wake everybody up, I have to thank this man, David Chandler, because we wouldn't be what we are today if he didn't have invited us at Google I/O back in 2010 to do a presentation on GWTP. So it's thanks to him that we have been known around the world now. So what's up with Archbeast? Once it's loaded. So the first thing to know is what Archbeast does. So we were talking about abstraction and tooling. Well, Archbeast do developer tools, do developer framework to help them optimize their web application when they use GWT, or even more. Just before there was IntelliJ, for example, and we have a lot of open source, We have 3 open source TeamCity plugins that you can use to help you publish some information about your build process, for example. So since last year, we've built a lot of new products, a lot of new projects that you can use through your web applications. And for example, one of the new products that you may have heard of while going to Julian's presentation was GSS on steroid, The goal of this project is to give you mixins, animations, functions, and a grid system for GWT written in GSS, so you can use all those pre-formatted, predetermined functions into your GSS file. We also newly involved ourselves with GWT query, so we're officially supporting this product from now on, and as part of the GWT query community, because we were one of this product were used in all of our project, for example, so we have a high dependency on this project and we believe in its functionality, well, we decided to contribute to it as well. So Jukito is also one of the oldest products that we have. It has been around since the early beginning of Argbees, but it's not necessarily linked to GWT itself. It's a test tool to help developer write tests when they use dependency injection. So it transforms all abstraction into mocks automatically, and you can then, it's just faster to write tests using this product. Our core product, because I'm going from right to left instead of left to right, is GWT Platform. Is there a lot of people here that use GWT Platform at the moment? Not a lot in the room. Well, that's a good opportunity then to go see my presentation at 10, and I'll talk a little bit more about the functionality, what's coming up into the products. But it has evolved a lot in the past year. David was talking about REST GWT. We also made an implementation of JAX-RS that was aimed to support REST-easy interfaces and core server-side interfaces that was already existing. So it supports the full JAX-RS specification. And we're in the process of adding new functionality into it so that it supports XML, for example, because right now it just supports JSON. We have also started to work a little bit more on GWT Chosen, which was made by Julien Dramec. And we involved ourselves into improving the code base, fixing some bugs, and also supporting it officially. And we have GA Studio, which is a developer tool for Google App Engine. It lets you modify, add, delete, and monitor the data of your data store. This will be open sourced next week as we speak, because there has been so many open source and free alternative to it from now. So we felt that it will better serve the community to have it in its hand and make it evolve at the pace that they want, rather than being a product for, well, it was a product that we were using, but it was a side project for us. So it didn't evolve as fast as we wanted, so now we want to make sure that it has a future within an active community. So, and much more. Like I said, we involved ourselves in GWT Query, but we also created a lot of plugins for GWT Query. Plugin like Elastic, for example, that is aiming to create, rearrange div elements into columns like on Google+. So you can basically have a responsive grid layout that will go to 3, 4, 5 columns depending on the screen size, or even down to 1 column, and so on. There's a lot more to our open source involvement in this case. So you can go onto our GitHub account to see our open source project. So let's talk a little bit about GWTP a little bit more. For those of you that doesn't know GWTP, it's an MVP framework. It aimed back in 2009 to answer Ray Ryan talk at Google I/O for a better structured way of developing web application within GWT. So since then, we've been improving it so that it follows GWT evolution, and also that it gives a little bit more to the developers so that it's faster to build your web application. REST dispatch, like I explained a little bit earlier, and interceptors for REST dispatch so that you can do post and pre actions on your calls. For example, if you wished to build a local storage cache on top of your request that you made to the server, you could do it through interceptors which wouldn't have to pollute the business logic of your presenters, for example. So I just want to show you a little bit more screenshot about GA Studio. So this is currently the UI that you get to manage your data on Google App Engine. So you can do you can modify data on several items at the same time. You can do GQL queries. You can export and import data, as well as adding new data into your data store. And the good news is that for all open source project that I just talked about, we have a support license for it. So if you're worried about us improving the framework, but you're stuck into a older version, we will be there. If you have the support license, we will be there to help you. And I'll go fast because I think I take too much time, but we have a new branding and a new dev website as well as a new website. So I invite you to come by our booth to know more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. So we still have one thing we should be discussing, one more thing, if you will. Anybody remembers this one? I mean, the GWT logo. I actually have still a T-shirt with this logo, and I have been using that for 5 years, and it has been awesome. The thing was that when Google moved control to GWT steering committee, there was a bit of an issue with this G in the box. You remember this back in a couple of years ago. And I was kind of hosting one GWT meetup in Belgium, I think. And just right before the meetup, it was a kind of Vaadin and GWT meetup. And I had a Vaadin logo over there, and it said Vaadin and GWT, and with Vaadin logo. And then I had this logo over there for GWT, and then I thought, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be using this anymore. So what I came up was this horrible sketch in 5 minutes just before the meetup. And it turned out that then we had this steering committee discussion about the logos, and guys were preparing this new website, and we didn't have a logo for the website. So the steering committee said, oh, I saw this logo by Jonas. Maybe you could use it a placeholder for 2 weeks or something like that, so we come up with a proper logo. And that was like 2-3 years ago, so it's a pretty horrible situation. So my apologies for a horrible sketch. Even didn't have any actually proper resources for it. I mean, proper vector graphic version of that, because it was just a 5-minute sketch and it should be replaced soon. But I'm really, really, really happy to say that now we actually are replacing that. And the effort has been led by ArcBees. So Kristen, would you come back on stage and tell a bit about it?
All right. So our open source involvement doesn't stop with code itself, as it seems. So we spent since probably December, working all the free time that we had, not only on the brand, but also on the new website. And one of our designer at ArcBees is also a brand designer. So she worked hard to give you guys something really awesome based on some of the GWT strengths, which is expertise while you code. This care about code quality, this care about abstraction and tooling, and everything that makes this GWT community so awesome is its expertise. We want the stability of the GWT framework because it's mature. It's been around since 2004, and the strong community that is around. Like this, Frederick showed, most of the people here has been using GWT for more than 2 years, which is make every single person here which make the community really alive, basically, because we're around and we're here to stay. And then what were the ambition between the new branding? And what are the ambition of GWT in the future as well? We want something modern, something that is sexy to the normal developer, because compared to JavaScript, for example, there's a lot of web developers that when they see GWT, they just find it, well, old school. So we want something modern, we want something strong, we want something durable and meaningful for everyone that are using GWT. So here it comes, the new logo. Really simple, and that really take care of all the ambitions that we have. But where that logo come from? What's the meaning? I can show you some example of it, but there's the G for GWT, right? The code inside of it, and also the community, the sense of community, right through the logo itself. And it can be used around anything afterward. You can use it, well, differentiation, but I want to go right through the way we can show it to the users. So the GWT.create, for example, the GWT meetup, and you can reuse the logo and make it yours in all kind of events. And this is also a really great geometrical logo that you can rearrange the way you want, or that can be used across all kind of medium. So some of the Google products that are branded for, with GWT. And then you can do posters on anything you want. T-shirts, for example. Goodies. Right? If you have ideas of something that you wish to create, well, you'll be able to do so. Well, bags as well. I'm pretty sure that everyone likes a bag once in a while. Stickers on computers. I can see some in the room right now. And finally, the big event will be to take over the Google I/O and have this big publicity in San Francisco. Well, we can dream, right? So what we build next with this logo, the color, and the system that we created is a new website for the documentation, all based on Markdown, that you guys can consult, and that can give you a lot more, all the information that you need about GWT. This will be live, this should be live as we speak, by the way. So if you want to take a look around, navigate through the website, and make sure that we didn't forget any pages. But in any cases, not only we worked on the logo, but we also worked hard on the website. And this wouldn't have been possible without the people that worked on that website at Argbees. Julien, for example, did a really great amount of work on the documentation. We have also Jason Lemay, Maxime Meriot-Caron, and Simon-Pierre Gingras. And Manon, which is the brand designer, did all the great screens that you can see. And also, I don't know, is anyone in the room ever did a proposal for a modification on the current website? Because this feature was already available, so we make it possible at this moment to be able to edit all pages of the documentation if you want to send a proposition and there's an error, or to improve the documentation. Everything is editable on GitHub. That will open a pull request, which will then need to be signed by the SLA, so that you can give us the property of what you're editing, give the steering committee and the GWT community. But once the proposal is made, the pull request is merged, the change is automatically made to the MD file of the website, so it's done dynamically. And to finish, I want to give you an important message from the designer itself. I don't have her voice though, but I'll read it to you. Hi everyone, I hope you like the new branding. I wanted to contribute to this wonderful community, but I can't code. Shame on her. So I created a real good brand to show you my love. Good developer, you're simply the best. Live long and prosper. So that's our word for you guys. And thanks.
Thank you, Kristen. Hey, don't leave any. Don't leave yet, come over here. I have a gift for you. Because I think this is, let's take the other logo over here, because I don't want to ruin your advertisement opportunity, but I like this more. So, at Vaadin we really kind of fell in love with the logo, so we made you a t-shirt. But we didn't know which size are you, so I have XL and M.
I don't think XL will work.
It's XL, right? So here you have it.
Thanks.
Yeah, put it on. Hey, by the way, I have this XL. What should I do with that?
You should take it.
No, I want to try it out.
So I think everyone will see
So what do you guys think? I think he looks so beautiful. Hey.
Maybe after.
Yeah, after this.
Let's keep that for later.
Anybody else wants a t-shirt? You? So actually we have a t-shirt for everybody. They are waiting on the lobby, and you can pick yours right after this show. So. And it's actually halfway through the conference, and if it was hard already to choose between the tracks, I have to apologize again. Now there are 4 tracks, so you have more choices to make for the rest of the day. Have a nice conference for the rest of the day, and remember to vote, remember to add your questions to panel. Thanks.